Who is likely to replace Henry Rotich at the Treasury? That's the question most Kenyans are asking. Because President Uhuru Kenyatta made it clear during the State of the Nation address that any individual, any government official who takes plea in court will have to step aside until the case is heard and determined.
Honorable members, I must say that I've been under pressure that who am I sacking? But no. But I must, however, caution that the pursuit of the corrupt will be undertaken strictly within the remits of the law. It will not be done through vigilante justice and pitchfork protest. Though media narratives rally our resolve as they should, our actions will not be based on condemnation before one has been heard. The cornerstone of our democracy is the rule of law and the principle of due process. And the principle of due process is a critical anchor of that principle. We must aspire abidingly to this ideal and ensure that we do not pursue justice in one area through injustice in another. I remain confident in our investigative and prosecutorial institutions to diligently deliver justice on the strength of the evidence and infidelity to the law. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as I have said and done before, I once again undertake that anyone whose case goes before court will be removed from government, and any individual will thereafter have to answer his case before a court of law.
Now, that's President Uhuru Kenyatta delivering his speech during the State of the Nation address. And I hope the president is going to keep his word. But for Kamau Thuge and the rest, it's going to be very easy. The Public Service Commission is expected to interdict them. And once interdicted, they'll be put on half salary until the cases are heard and determined. And during that period, they'll not be expected to go back into their offices and also visit any government office. That's what the law says. And if you ask me, I think yesterday also marked the end of an era for Henry Rotich at the Treasury. Because if you ask me, this case is going to drag. And it's going to drag for more than 1 year. And the president will use that opportunity to find a permanent replacement for Henry Rotich. But in the interim, the president is expected to make appointment, to appoint someone to act as a minister, as cabinet secretary for finance, because the country cannot operate without a cabinet secretary for finance. And in my view, the choice of the president is going to be determined by several factors. And the first factor, which is likely to play a key role, is the Kieleweke and Mtangatanga politics. You can't rule out that. It's going to play a key role in the next person who is going to be appointed to that office. The second factor, in my view, is likely to be the handshake politics. Will President Uhuru Kenyatta consider the handshake, people who support handshake, and elevate them? And the third factor is likely to be experience. Who has the best experience to manage the affairs at the Treasury. Because if you ask me, I strongly believe that Henry Rotich was a flop. He failed miserably. He has left this country with debt burden, a debt burden which our generation will have to pay for. So the president will consider all those factors. And in my view, the following individuals are likely to be considered. And remember, the choice will only have to be one. The first individual is Adan Mohamed. This guy has the experience. He's an Harvard trained, and he was the MD of Barclays Bank of Kenya. And in the year 2013, he was appointed as the Cabinet Secretary for Trade and Industry. And currently, he serves as the Cabinet Secretary for East Africa Commission and Regional Development. But there's a challenge with him. Adan Mohamed is considered to be in Team Tanga. And when he was moved from Trade and Industry, which is one of the lucrative which is one of the lucrative ministry, when he was moved from there to East African, people read a lot of politics, and majority of people believed that time that he was actually being punished for being one of William Ruto's key allies, and he was replaced by one of William Ruto's key enemies, Peter Munya. So Adan is likely to be appointed. And the other reason he could be appointed, considering the Kieleweke and Tanga politics, is because of the fact that in Kieleweke, Tanga believes that the war on corruption is political. And therefore, for President Uhuru to appease them, he's likely to appoint someone who is viewed as one of their own. So he has a high chance of being appointed. The second individual who has high chance of being appointed in an acting capacity is Raphael Tuju. Raphael Tuju is currently a cabinet secretary in President Uhuru Kenyatta's government, but a cabinet secretary without portfolio, which means he doesn't have specific role he's performing, other than to represent the interests of President Uhuru Kenyatta and those of Jubilee Party in cabinet. And the president might therefore decide to give him portfolio for the first time. And Raphael Tuju is not new. Raphael Tuju has been a cabinet minister for tourism in this country, where he performed so well. And Raphael Tuju has also been a cabinet secretary for foreign affairs. That's one of the high-end ministries in this country. And he served well when he was the minister for foreign affairs. So Raphael Tuju could be considered to act as the minister for finance. And why do I believe Raphael Tuju has the chance? If you consider handshake, Raphael Tuju is the best individual suited to act. And if you consider Tanga and Kieleweke, let's say the president is tired with the Tanga, he wants people who are fully with him, then he can decide to bring Raphael Tuju on board to act for the time being. And therefore, Raphael Tuju has high chances of being appointed to act as the next cabinet secretary for finance. And number three, the third individual, if you ask me, is Charles Keter. Charles Keter is a former MP for Belgood and later on a senator for Kericho. And because William Ruto was keen on having politicians in the cabinet, he entered into an agreement with Keter, and Keter resigned as a senator and was appointed as a minister for energy. That's one of the most lucrative ministries in this country. And despite the fact that that ministry has had challenges with issues of corruption, because that's where Joe Sang was sacked, the former Kenya Power MD was sacked. Despite that, the president can still decide to appease Tanga. And what a better way of elevating Charles Keter, because Charles Keter comes from the Kalenjin community. So if he's appointed to act, then the Kalenjin nation will not make noise. Because right now, if any other individual is appointed, Moso, a Luo, or a Kikuyu, they'll have a problem. They'll say President Uhuru Kenyatta is empowering Kikuyus, and also they might say Luos never voted for President Uhuru, but is rewarding them. So the best individual, if you ask me, is Charles Keter. And if Charles Keter is elevated, the Kalenjin nation will remain silent, because he's considered to be one of the senior most cabinet secretaries from that region. Because apart from Charles Keter, the other cabinet secretary from Rift Valley is the cabinet secretary for lands, Farida Karoli. And I don't think she has what it takes to serve as a minister for finance. So in my view, the president might decide to give Charles Keter a chance. And number 4 is George Magoha. And this will only happen if the president is keen on someone who can make things work, someone who can transform that particular ministry. And it's on record that George Magoha is a no-nonsense guy. He was just appointed to the Ministry of Education recently, and we've seen how he has managed to work in that ministry. So the president might decide, okay, let's bring a new person. Let's just elevate Magoha to serve as a minister for education and also for finance. And number 4, which I don't want to rule out, and lastly, number 5, is the possibility of Fred Matiang'i Okengo acting. I don't want to rule out that. Fred Matiang'i can act just on the account that currently he is the supervisor of all cabinet secretaries. So the president can decide that being the supervisors of all cabinet secretaries, since we don't have a cabinet secretary for finance, take over for the time being until we find a replacement. But Fred Matiang'i appointment is going to elicit a lot of reactions, both from Tanga and Keleweke. On Tanga side, their biggest enemy, the person they've been fighting so much, is Fred Matiang'i. And therefore, if President Uhuru Kenyatta will attempt to elevate Fred Matiang'i, what that will mean is that it's now going to be a war between Tanga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. So Matiang'i has that chance. But because of politics, maybe yes, maybe no. But if the president wants someone who can make things happen, then I think Fred Matiang'i has the highest chance amongst all these people. And even if he will consider experience, he has been a cabinet minister, he's well educated, and he also makes things happen. Because Fred Matiang'i has streamlined the NTSA. NTSA was one of the most corrupt bodies in this country, and it was under the Ministry of Finance. And President Uhuru Kenyatta removed it from that ministry to Fred Matiang'i's interior, and it has been transformed. So possibly, if you ask me, the president might decide to elevate Fred Okengo Matiang'i. So in my view, those are the 5 individuals who the president might decide to elevate if he will go for a temporary, for an acting cabinet secretary. But if he will decide to go for an appointment, permanent appointment, which is basically cabinet reshuffle, then the likelihood of people like David D, although David D has declined, but I think the president will go for someone who is radical to take over. Thank you guys, and if you're bumping on this video for the first time, what we do on this channel is that we analyze politics. And the best thing you can do is to subscribe, so that anytime you produce a new video, you get notified. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. It's been amazing, and your support has been very handy. I want to continue thanking you, and the only support I always ask you for on this platform is just to drop your comment. What do you think? Who do you think is likely to be appointed to act? Because I'm sure this week will not end before an acting cabinet secretary is appointed. Thank you guys, and please enjoy your day.